Hey guys, it's Shama here, CEO of Scaling Retail, and we are going to be going live today with All Good Things New York. Happy Friday, everybody! It's nice to have it be a Friday. I know that the concept of a new normal is something that we're all kind of getting used to. In that vein, I think it's important that we are feeling grateful that today is Friday. I hope those of you guys who are entrepreneurs and who are, working the hustle on a day-to-day basis are actually, taking the time for yourselves on the weekend. I know that being a business owner oftentimes means that we are just on the hustle and on the grind almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So sometimes it's scary, right? When we're asking ourselves, hey, it's Sunday. Should I be working on my business, or, what should I be doing in order to get the day ready to go? What I think is also really valuable, or what I've been enjoying, is writing things down by hand. I find that sometimes taking some time to jot down what I have to do. I like to cross things off a list. I then like to transfer them to a new list. So those kinds of things I actually find to be extremely valuable, to step away from the computer and something on the weekend that's actually really helpful for business, right? It not necessarily has to mean that I'm answering emails or I am doing something really direct. Sometimes it's just simply writing things down and saying, okay, what are some of the things or some of the ideas? And oftentimes I think we can think of strategy sessions with ourselves in a really similar way, right? How do we approach strategic planning and give ourselves the time? And oftentimes, guys, it's literally the weekend is when I think we oftentimes will find those things. So that is something I've been currently kind of working on myself, is the notion of strategic planning on the weekends, because the weekdays tend to be so crazy and so chaotic. So today we were supposed to be chatting with Nida from All Good Things New York. Don't know where she is, but a little bit about her business is she is an ethical fashion line. She's getting ready to launch. This week we've done some really interesting, we've done some really interesting conversations with some business owners who are getting ready to launch. And so what I think is really exciting is that people are still thinking about forward momentum and what it means to continue to launch a business. And I was on a call with someone earlier today, and we were talking about, she wants to launch her business next summer. And the conversation was really steered around, okay, well, if you're going to be launching your business in a year, what are the actual things that you should be focusing on? What are the actual things that are going to be activated in a 12-month time period? How should you be spending your time? Now, what was interesting was she immediately was kind of into this vein of, okay, what am I going to do for my marketing? And I think most of us out there get into this trap of, oh, I need to start planning for marketing right away. Or we get into this trap of, I'm working on my launch, let me just pay for things as they come up. And so what I'd like to say is two things. If you have an existing business, or if you are starting a new business, my advice or my suggestion for you would actually be to take your time and actually write down, how much money am I willing to invest in this thing? And how do I know when this is actually not profitable or not working? And profitability and working, I think, are different, right? If something is not profitable, then obviously it is, if it's not profitable, I would say it's probably not working. But chances are you need about, I would say, maybe 18 months to know if something isn't really going to work out. And I would say, I would say the notion of like, what is a good idea, for you in terms of allocation of resources, I would say is an important thing for you to keep in mind. So if you need to run your business for the next 18 to 24 months, and you may or may not be making any money, you got to plan for that. right? And it's not enough to say, I'm just going to figure out how to do it. It's probably one of the worst things I've ever heard. It's like, oh, I'm just going to like pay for shit as it comes up. Makes it virtually impossible to be strategic if you don't know what the playground looks like. So please figure out your playground. The other thing is if you have an existing business and right now with COVID and the pandemic, you're wondering, well, how do I even be strategic, or how do I even know what my resources or my cash flow is going to look like? It's another big question you have to address. So in that vein, I would say sit down and kind of, figure out what are the various strategies that you would be able to employ at different levels of income. So if you've had an existing business and you've saved resources and you were profitable, then you probably have money that you should be allocating towards brand building or towards business building. And if you are not allocating those resources, or you've been trying to spin yourself out, then I would suggest that we hop on a phone call and kind of maybe do an hour or two strategy session to map it out, because you shouldn't be spinning. There's actually a lot of stuff you can be doing with your money right now. So in that light, guys, there's lots to be doing in terms of strategic planning for launches, lots that you can be doing to staying agile and nimble. Yesterday, I was on a call. I sit on the board of directors for a nonprofit for the Downtown Women's Center. And they are the largest women's homeless shelter nonprofit in Los Angeles County. And I work closely on the social enterprise, and we were looking at our 3-year budget. And the first thing my mind went to was like, oh my God, I have no idea what life is going to be like in 3 years, right? How do I even know what 3 years is going to be? I have no idea what the business is going to look like in 3 years. However, what I can say is that if we can actually figure out the unit economics by which we actually need to sell something in order to keep our doors open, it gives us the opportunity to actually sit back and say, what's the minimum amount of sales I need to be making in order to keep this on track? And that is a number each of you should have, right? What is your break even every month? What's the minimum you need? And then from there, you then start to build out what your budget is. You then start to sit down and say, okay, well, if I need X amount of money to keep my doors open, well, how much money do I need to make that money? Sometimes we actually fail to realize that marketing costs money. And if you're not investing those dollars and your budget isn't there, then you're not going to make those resources. So there's two different things you're looking at. One is like your monthly cash flow and like cash in and what you're bringing in and breaking even on costs. The other is going to be some sort of investment level that you're looking at in terms of expenditures, right? And your hope is that your marketing budgets eventually pay for themselves. But all right, that's not always going to be the case, depending on whether or not you've been doing marketing for a long time and what that strategy looks like for you. So start to think a little bit about numbers. Most of you guys out there think designing is sexy. I happen to think math and numbers are sexy. So I would say start to adopt a little bit more of the math and numbers are sexy thing, and start to play with it. What do your business models need to look like in order to be successful for the next 18 to 24 months? How are you going to be agile? How are you going to pivot? And ultimately, at the end of the day, guys, the whole point is, your business survives and thrives. And if that means that you need to be looking at alternative revenue streams, you need to be diversifying, be smart. Don't hang on to something that's not serving you anymore. Most people today are starting to look at their businesses as VCs. It's just not enough to say, okay, having this business afforded me a certain lifestyle. I got access to parties. I got to go this. It was fun for my social status. Yes, having a fashion company can be really fun for your social status. However, there is no social right now in person. It's all digital. There is no, let's go out and have a party. There is no experiential. So you should be looking at it and saying, oh crap, now that I took out my social aspect of having this business, now the question is like, well, if it's no longer a social thing, then is this actually profitable? And so I think a lot of people are starting to flip that lens on their companies and they're saying, okay, maybe it's not profitable. Maybe I should be looking at something else. And that I think is important and worthwhile. All right, guys, that is all from me. Unfortunately, it looks like our one-on-one guest today was unable to make it, but hopefully next week we'll get some cool people on for consultations. Please feel free to send us an email at hello@scalingretail.com. Would love to interview you and ask you questions and have you ask me a lot of questions on these one-on-ones. And head on over to our website, click on make an appointment if you'd like to speak to someone from our team and see all the things that we can do to help your business scale up. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.